guys, and welcome to another Evercade Deep Dive Completion Review. And what's a Deep Dive Completion Review, may you ask? Well, it's where I need to complete an Evercade game from start to finish. It doesn't matter how many load states, it doesn't matter how many save states, just as long as I can complete the game from start to finish before I do this review. And what game are we reviewing today? Well, today we are going way back to the old Commodore 64. We are reviewing Impossible Mission on the Blue Cart Commodore 64 Collection number 1. Let's get into it. That's right, today we are diving, tumbling, and somersaulting straight into one of the most iconic and frustratingly brilliant games of the 80s, Impossible Mission. This just isn't any platformer, this is espionage with a side of acrobats and yelling "No!" every time you fall into oblivion. From evil robots to scrambled puzzles and that creepy computer voice taunting you with "Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever." This game is pure 8-bit madness. So grab your trench coat, stretch those hamstrings for some epic flips, and let's find out if Impossible Mission still holds up today, or if it's just impossible to love. Let's do this. Now, don't let the name scare you off. This isn't a Tom Cruise stunt double situation. No, this is 1984, baby. Back when your mission was actually impossible. Mostly because the controls were tricky and the robots were evil. And I mean evil. Released by Epox for the legendary Commodore 64, Impossible Mission was way ahead of its time. We are talking smooth animation, digitized voice samples, and a villain named Professor Elvin Attenbender. That's just not a bad guy name, that's a Saturday morning cartoon boss level bad guy name. From the moment you hear him crackle, "Another visitor, stay a while, stay forever," you know you're in for it. And trust me, he means it. He's not offering you a tea and biscuit. He's about to throw his killer robots at you like it's a robot Black Friday sale. You play as a secret agent, black jumpsuit, slick moves, no weapons, just acrobatic flips and sheer panic. Your job? Break into Attenbender's massive fortress, dodge robot guards who are shockingly good at their jobs, and search every piece of this place for puzzle pieces. That's right, it's like Tetris meets Tomb Raider with the constant fear of being zapped into pixel dust. And oh boy, those puzzles. You're piecing together these jigsaw password things under a strict 6-hour countdown, and every time you mess up and get fried by a robot, 10 minutes just vanish. No save points, no mercy, just pure retro pressure. Seriously though, Impossible Mission wasn't just hard, it was clever. It made you think, plan, panic, and rage flip your joystick, but that's what made it legendary. So if you love a bit of puzzle solving, platform hopping, and yelling, "Why are there so many robots?" at your screen, then this one's for you. Impossible Mission was developed and published by Epox, and they were a powerhouse in the 1980s, known for cranking out hits like Summer Games, California Games, and yes, Impossible Mission. They had a reputation for making innovative, fast-paced titles that pushed the limits of early hardware. And most of this was done by their lead designer and programmer, Dennis Caswell. Yep. This is one of those one-man army did pretty much everything, from coding to animation and level design. Dennis Caswell was a software engineer at Epox, and Impossible Mission was his baby. He wanted to create something different, a platformer that required brains, not just reflexes, and boy, did he deliver. This was such a one-man army that Caswell even confirmed he recorded the voice samples himself using an early speech digitizer. That's right, they did not use professional voice actors. The voices were just digitized using the Commodore 64's limited capabilities, and you have to remember, this was 1984. Caswell recorded it himself and ran it through a vocoder and compression tools to make it sound robotic and creepy. And the result? It's one of the first digitized voice lines in gaming history, and easily one of the most memorable. The Commodore 64 had very limited audio sampling capabilities, so Caswell really needed to experiment and process this clever compression trick to get the now iconic line,
"Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever."
So back in the day, Epox was looking to make something groundbreaking, and Caswell wanted to push the Commodore 64 to its limits. He was so impressed by spy movies and wanted to combine action with strategy. Instead of just jumping and shooting, players would need to search, solve puzzles, and outthink the game. The combination of side-scrolling action and logic puzzle solving was radically different for the time of its release. And why was the graphics so smooth? That's because Caswell used rotoscoping, a technique where he traced over film footage to create realistic character movement. And this game had randomized level layouts each playthrough, so no two games were exactly the same. This is just way ahead of its time. Despite its difficulty, Impossible Mission became a bestseller and was ported to just about every system imaginable, including the Atari, the Amstrad, the ZX Spectrum, and even later consoles like the NES and Sega Master System. As always, we're going to be talking about the sound, the story, and the gameplay, and stick around because at the end, I'll be giving you my Evercade stats on how long it took me to complete Impossible Mission. Alright, so let's talk about the story of Impossible Mission, and I'm using story in the loosest possible sense here because hey, it was the 80s. You weren't exactly getting Shakespeare in your pixelated spy games, but what did you get? An evil genius, a ticking clock, and a whole lot of fall into a hole and scream sound effects. You play as a secret agent, let's just call him Agent Smooth Moves, who's been sent to stop one of the most dramatic villains in video game history, Professor Elvin Attenbender. I mean, come on, that name, he was clearly destined for evil. You don't get named Attenbender and go on teaching kindergarten, do you?
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
Attenbender had just gone full Bond villain and taken over a massive computer system. And like any decent megalomaniac with a bad attitude and a flair for interior design, he's filled his underground lair with killer robots, elevators that are just out to ruin your day, and endless deadly gaps you can fall into. Probably while yelling something in frustration. So what's your mission? You've got 6 hours to stop Attenbender from launching a nuclear apocalypse. That's right, 6 hours. And no pressure, but the world is kind of depending on you. But instead of just punching him in the face like a normal spy would, you've got to search through furniture. Yeah, furniture in different rooms to find pieces of a secret code puzzle. Imagine this, you're running around flipping through high-tech filing cabinets and sofas like you're on a chaotic episode of Storage Wars Spy Edition, all while dodging robots that move like they've just slammed 5 energy drinks, and every few minutes Attenbender may just chime in over the intercom to taunt you even more. Yeah, thanks Elvin, super helpful. And just when you think you may have figured it all out, bam, another robot karate kicks you into a pit. Back to the beginning. Your agent screams and your soul dies a little inside. But if you survive the puzzles, outsmart all the robots, and resist the urge to throw your joystick across the room, you might just get to Attenbender and shut him down in time. But good luck, he doesn't exactly leave the door open. Now let's talk about the sound. The decision to forego traditional background music in Impossible Mission wasn't just a technical limitation, it was a smart, deliberate choice that redefined the tension and atmosphere of the game. And honestly, it stands out as one of the most distinctive sound design choices in the early video game era. You see, in most 8-bit titles from the 80s, background music was a staple. Most games relied on peppy, repetitive tunes that just looped on an endless cycle. And these tunes were meant to keep the player engaged and give a sense of momentum. But Impossible Mission wasn't about speed, it was about suspense. It was about the feeling of being alone, vulnerable, and trapped in an enemy lair. The lack of music lets you focus entirely on the environment and the tension building around you. Without music, you're left in a vacuum, just the sound of your footsteps and the eerie creaks of the environment. The silence becomes your enemy. Every tiny sound is amplified, and you hear the clanking of your character's boots on the metal floors, and the clicks of a nearby robot activating, and the sudden hums of dangerous machinery. Each step you take feels more deliberate, and the fear of being discovered, ambushed, or falling into a trap intensifies. It's like being in a horror movie, but you're the one being stalked. And there's no uplifting music to tell you everything's fine. You don't get that reassurance here. What really sets it apart is that Impossible Mission isn't bombarding you with constant sensory input. Instead, it lets you focus on the subtle cues. The robots, the doors, and even the elevators are the only things breaking the silence. And these cues play on your instincts, drawing you into an environment in a way that other games of the time couldn't. It tricks you into focusing on every minor sound and movement, making you feel like you're always on the edge of danger. So why was this such a smart move? Well, without the distraction of music, the silent keeps the player constantly alert. Every ambient sound, every robotic growl, and every sudden voiceover becomes a signal. Your body tenses up. You start to hyper-focus, and it gives you a sense of dread that the music couldn't give you. While other games of the era were cramming in 8-bit melodies and sound effects that eventually blended together, Impossible Mission used the absence of music as a tool to carve out its own brand of psychological gameplay. Plus, it made the sound effects like the opening beep of the computer system or the electrifying buzz of a malfunctioning robot feel extra significant. Those simple digital noises became an iconic part of the game's identity. It was a bold, experimental decision at the time, but it absolutely paid off. Impossible Mission carved out its own niche, and the innovative use of sound is a major reason why it still stands as a standout title in the world of retro game playing today. Let's talk about the gameplay. Impossible Mission is like a wild ride. It's like a mix of parkour, puzzle solving, and some good old-fashioned cat and mouse with killer robots. And seriously, this game makes you feel like you're the star of your very own action-packed spy thriller, but with a healthy dose of frustration thrown in for good measure. So picture this, you're the suave secret agent, navigating a massive computer complex filled with all sorts of high-tech obstacles, and your job? To stop the evil genius Adam Bender from taking over the world by collecting pieces of a password to his master plan. But here's the twist. Impossible Mission isn't just about running around. No. It's about parkour-style acrobats, leaping across platforms, avoiding robots, and doing all this while trying to stay cool under pressure. It's a test of your reflexes and your problem-solving skills all wrapped up in one high-stakes package. The game controls? Well, they're interesting to say the least. You'll be jumping, flipping, and scrabbling around like an action hero on a caffeine rush, and each jump has a little bit of weight to it. One wrong move and boom, you're falling into a pit or getting swarmed by robots. It's like you're in the middle of a high-speed chase, but instead of a car, you're using platforms and ladders to escape certain doom. And let me tell you, these robots are everywhere, and they're fast. They're persistent, and they're definitely not the kind of enemies you can just face straight on. Dodging them requires some real ninja-level agility. What really makes the game stand out is how it combines all of these elements together. You've got the high-tech espionage feel when you're creeping through the complex like a spy, but then you've also got a little bit of parkour as you leap between platforms and make daring jumps to avoid falling down a pit. It's like a speedrun challenge with a splash of death-defying stunt, and it keeps you on your toes the entire time. You're constantly sprinting and flipping, trying to outwit the robots and gather those precious password pieces before they get to you first. And then there's the puzzle-solving aspect. It's not just about running and jumping around. Oh no, you've got to do some serious brain work too. As you race through the complex, you'll find punch cards scattered around, hidden amongst the furniture pieces that you're searching, each one containing part of the password you need to stop Adam Bender's evil plan. But here's the twist. It's not as simple as just collecting them and calling it a day. You need to combine these punch cards in the right order to reveal a letter of the code. It's like a giant mechanical scavenger hunt, where you're trying to piece together a jigsaw puzzle, but instead of a picture of a puppy, you're unlocking the doors to defeat the evil genius. Each punch card gives you a single letter, but you need to collect and layer them correctly to unlock the final code. And the blast doors to where Adam Bender is hiding, it's like you're solving a high-stakes world puzzle, but with a bunch of robots trying to throw you into a pit of doom. The pressure is on, and as you're running around trying to collect these cards, Adam Bender's voice will taunt you through the intercom like a villainous DJ. He's not helping your stress levels, that's for sure. Every time you pick up one of these punch cards, it feels like a mini victory, but you know that's just one small piece of the puzzle, and you've got to keep on collecting, combining, and dodging those damn killer robots to unlock the blast doors. All the way Adam Bender is probably laughing his way to his evil lair. It's a cool mix of action and strategy, and it definitely keeps you on your toes, making each move feel like a critical part on the bigger plan to stop this madman. And that's what's so cool. It's the blend of action, reflexes, and strategy that makes impossible missions so much fun. It's not just about running to the end of a level, it's about doing it in style with your heart racing and your mind whirling as you try to figure out the best path to take, all by being chased by a gang of mechanical maniacs. You'll be dodging robots, flipping off walls, and collecting pieces of the passwords like a pro, all while trying to beat the clock and solve those tricky puzzles. In a nutshell, the gameplay is like being in the most chaotic, high-energy parkour chase ever, except instead of gravity-defying stunts, you're defying robots and getting your hands on secret codes that could save the world. What's not to love about that? It's a fast-paced, brain-bending mix of action, reflexes, and strategy. Impossible Mission truly keeps you on the edge of your seat, making every second count. Now, when I purchased this Evercade card, I got it for $33.30, but we can't say that I paid that much just for one game because this has 14 games on it. So for the purpose of this review, we're saying that I spent $2.38 for Impossible Mission. This means for me to complete the game and get my $10 per hour ratio, I'll need to play the game for 15 minutes. And I can confidently say that I absolutely smashed this, playing the game for 2 hours and 43 minutes, which is a massive bargain in my books. I had a play count of 5, a save count of 27, and a load count of 52. And now it's time for my review of Impossible Mission. Buckle up, agents. So when it comes to the story of Impossible Mission, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10, and here's why. It's definitely fun and loose, but it doesn't offer much in the way of deep storytelling or motivation. On one hand, the whole premise of the game is exciting. You're racing against time to stop an evil villain, Adam Bender, from taking over the world, and there's a lot of action and suspense, and you get that sense that you're on a classic secret agent mission. But when you break it down, it's a bit thin. I mean, you're tasked with stopping a villain, sure, but why you specifically? What made you this random secret agent, the one to take down Adam Bender? It's never explained. Was I randomly assigned to the mission? Is there some kind of agent ranking system? We just won't know. And then there's Adam Bender himself. Okay, he's a bad guy. He wants to destroy the world. I get that. But why? What's his end game? What does he stand to gain from total world domination? Honestly, it's all a bit of a mystery. He's just this shadowy figure who taunts you from over the intercom, and we're left wondering what motivates him behind the usual "I just want to rule the world" kind of trope. Some backstory would have really fleshed him out and made his evil plan feel more meaningful. But alas, we're left with just a lot of chaotic villainry and little explanation. Despite all of this, the story is still fun in its own way. Like I said before, it's loose, it's chaotic, and it's a great setup for all the action and platforming that's to come. It's not about deep character arcs or intricate plot twists, it's more about jumping over obstacles, dodging robots, and solving puzzles. The lack of a solid backstory makes the whole thing feel a little bit like a classic episode of the Mission Impossible. Tons of action, not much on the Y front, and while I enjoyed the ride, a little more context would have definitely made the stakes feel higher and the story more engaging. So while the story doesn't deep dive into motivational and context, it's still enjoyable enough to keep you going through all the action-packed moments. It's just not a narrative that's going to leave you thinking for days. It's a fun mission, but with a little more backstory and character development, it could have been just so much more. Now for the sound. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, and let me tell you why. Sometimes less is more, and Impossible Mission totally nails that concept. There's no fancy soundtrack constantly blaring in the background, and honestly, that silence cranks up the tension. It's like the game knows you're already stressed out running around dodging killer robots and flipping furniture. So instead of distracting you with music, it just lets you stew in your own panic. You hear your footsteps echo, the hum of electronics in the background. It all makes you feel like you're alone in this cold, digital maze with Adam Bender watching your every move. And then there's those robotic sound clips, and oof, they do their job. You'll get this little digital bleep of mechanical growl just before one zaps across the screen or zaps you into next week. And they all have their own distinct little audio cues, which is super helpful when you're trying to guess whether a robot's about to patrol, jump, or shoot. It's subtle, but very clever. Even that falling death sound is just hysterically funny. You know, the one where you misjudge a jump and your little agent plummets dramatically down a shaft. That scream. It's short, sharp, and somehow both tragic and hilarious. It's one of those classic retro audio clips that sticks with you for life, and you can almost hear it right now. Can't you? I can hear it. So yeah, why the game isn't packing an orchestra, it doesn't need to. The sparse sound design and the sudden alerts and those iconic clips all come together to build the suspense and keep you on edge. It's smart, it's sharp, and it's a big part of what gives Impossible Mission its charm. It's not loud, but it speaks volumes. Let's look at the gameplay. I'm giving the gameplay a solid 7 out of 10. On the surface, it's super simple to pick up. You run, you jump, you search furniture, and you avoid robots. Sounds easy, right? But don't let that smooth start fool you. The game is brutal to master. The platforming feels super slick, and when you nail a series of jumps perfectly, dodging those stun bots and leaping across gaps, you feel like an absolute action hero, like someone hand me my sunglasses and trench coat level of cool. But then the punch cards happen. Oh boy, matching up these fragmented puzzle pieces to form those letters that unlocks the final door, that's where the game flipped from spy thriller to sweaty brain workout. I'm talking layers of punch cards that you just have to stack just right to reveal a single letter. It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle during a fire drill with a robot chasing you and Adam Bender crackling in your ear. No pressure, right? You've got a time limit hanging over your head too, so this constant juggle of, do I just risk another room search or should I go back and try and make sense of those digital hieroglyphics? Now, as far as it plays on the Evercade, it is smooth as butter. The controls are responsive, the emulation is sharp, and there's zero lag while pulling off those crucial jumps or ducking under a zap-happy robot. It's proof that these retro classics still hold up beautifully on modern handhelds and that Evercade knows how to treat these old school gems with respect. So yeah, simple to start, deceptively tough to finish, classic old school difficulty, and honestly, it made me respect the game even more. Overall, I'm giving Impossible Mission a solid 6 out of 10. See, it's just one of those games, the one soaked in nostalgia. And I remember vividly watching my older brother play Impossible Mission on the Commodore 64 back in the day. The loading screen alone felt like magic. The pixelated character flipping over furniture, that iconic digitalized voice barking out, "Stay a while, stay forever." Man, it was like we were witnessing the future right there in our lounge room. The Commodore 64 was the machine back then in the day. If you ever grew up with one, you know what I mean. The clunky keyboard, the cassette tapes that took forever to load and sometimes just didn't load, and the feeling of absolute triumph when a game finally started up. And the Impossible Mission was a showpiece, and it had speech, actual speech, that was mind-blowing at the time. Now, playing it again on the Evercade, it's wild how it still holds up today. The gameplay is tight and the challenge is real, and yeah, I still get that little kid thrill when I jump just right and manage to dodge a robot by the skin of my digital teeth. It's like being transported back to the carpeted floors of my childhood, watching my brother own this game while I dreamed of one day doing the same. So while the game might not tick every modern box, it ticks every nostalgic one. And that's why Impossible Mission still earns a proud 6 out of 10 from me. It's a time capsule, a digital comfort food, and a piece of my gaming history. Thank you so much for watching another deep dive Evercade completion review. Once again, please remember to give us a like, subscribe, and comment down below because I'd love to hear your thoughts on Impossible Mission. Also, a call to arms is to share this video if you enjoyed it because that's how we spread the word and spread the love, and I cannot wait to do more of these reviews for you. We'll see you next time on the Odd Socks.
Destroy him, my robot.